What up YouTube? Welcome back to the Joe McFo Show. My name is Jordan and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I sketch out characters in an Afro-Futuristic genre. Hey guys, so check this out. I really wanted to just show you guys a video of how I think about sketching out characters. Now, none of them are main characters for any projects I'm working on, but I did have a very heavy influence of Afrofuturism and Afropunk in these drawings. So for those of you who do not know what that is, it's kind of taking the idea of traditional African culture and then putting a more modern spin on it. And I think probably the most famous project most people would know is Black Panther, the Marvel Studios movie with Chadwick Boseman. May he rest in peace. But yeah, I really wanted to do something unique with this. I was looking through my Pinterest and I saw some images that I had saved of people from different concerts and events and festivals and artwork, and I was just so heavily inspired by it that I was like, you know, let me create something that looks like that. You know, I have these ideas in my head of things I want to try out, so why not test it? And so what I'm doing now is you see me starting to sketch off characters in the red, and basically it's just to get an idea of what their overall shape and silhouette is going to be like. And throughout this video, you'll see things changing quite a bit. And this whole session of me drawing these 5 characters in these sketches is actually about 3.5 hours. So I've gone from 3.5 hours and I've cut it down to about 20 minutes. So it's going really fast. And I know that some of you guys can't see all the things going on, but one day I might upload the entire video somewhere. And hopefully if you guys are interested, you'll want to check that out. But at this stage, I'm really just thinking about the basic shapes. Right now, all I'm thinking about is how I can turn these characters from something that's just a figment of my own imagination into something that's visible on the page. So I'm looking at the references and I'm looking at the clothing. You know, some of them are wearing capes. This one lady on the right, she's wearing like a burqa or a hijab or something like that. And I really wanted to figure out how to incorporate that into a design that I thought was unique. So while I'm thinking about it, maybe I should talk about how I think about character design in general. And really one of the biggest tips I have for you guys is just think about the world you're creating. Think about the story, because character designs only work if they fit with the character you're drawing. I was teaching a class a couple of months ago and I gave the example of what if Harry Potter were dressed like a police officer? If the story is about a boy wizard who goes to this magical school called Hogwarts, then if he's dressed like a cop, that's not going to make sense. It doesn't really fit well with the story that J.K. Rowling's trying to tell. So instead, she had him dressed like a schoolboy, and had the wand and the cloak and all the different things that Hogwarts and that world, the wizarding world, had to offer. Same with a story like Back to the Future, right? You have Marty McFly dressed like a kid from the 80s because he's from the 80s, and then he goes back in time and now he suddenly has to dress like someone in the 50s. So anytime you're doing a character design, you want to make sure that their clothing, the style, everything makes sense with the world that you're creating. In the case with these characters, I am just kind of having fun, but I, like I said, had a sort of Afro-futuristic influence to all these drawings. And so I'm thinking about the basic shapes that I would see in an African design. So some of those things are very prominent shapes like squares, triangles, circles. Anytime I look at an African design or a textile or something like that, the shapes are very graphic and very strong. So I wanted to make sure I got that not only in the patterning of the clothing, but also just the shape of the clothing itself. This particular character I'm drawing right now is heavily inspired by Iman from the music video Remember the Time by Michael Jackson, because she's wearing the tall headdress and she looks very royal and regal. And so I wanted to take a little bit of that design and add some of my own elements to it. So I was thinking in my head, oh, maybe she's some sort of warrior, maybe she's some sort of leader or council member or something like that. And I'm adjusting her face and adjusting, all these different aspects of who she is. And I'm sketching this pretty quickly. I know, again, it's very hard to tell because the video is so sped up, but I'm not spending a whole lot of time on these sketches. Maybe for the red section or the red line drawings, probably something closer to 5 minutes. And then the blue, maybe another 10. And The reason the video is 3.5 hours long is because there were a couple of moments where I actually stopped drawing for a couple of seconds or maybe a minute or two, and I had to cut those out because it would just be boring to watch me have nothing going on the screen. So you're welcome for the editing. So furthermore, some of the things I'm thinking about is who this character is as a person. What's their personality type? Are they more extroverted? Are they more introverted? Are they someone of a higher status or a higher class? I think this woman in particular would definitely be of a higher class in society. Like, she's probably some sort of aristocratic leader, maybe like a princess or prime minister or something like that. And the shapes and the design I'm using for her all kind of tell that story. Now, I'm not going to get into the strong, heavy line work or the clean line work that I normally would do for the characters, but if you guys are interested in that, by the way, please put it in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see a video of me bringing one of these characters to final, and we'll just number it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you're interested in number 2, then just say, hey, I want you to draw number 2 and finish that up and talk about that. Then I have no problem doing that. So this character, I really wanted to have this sort of youthful energy and spirit. I was thinking of sort of a skateboarder, surfer type of character, someone who was a bit rough around the edges, but still had an element of fun to her. So I have her with a flowing cape, but I also gave her these afro puffs. And I have a stem, some sort of weird stem in there. I think I took that out later on because I didn't know what it was or what to do with it. And I'm giving her some sort of electronic collar that could be really cool. I don't know what it does. And that's kind of the fun part about doing these drawings, is sometimes I don't have to have an answer for everything. And at this stage, it's okay. Now, if I was taking a character design to final and I was presenting this for a client or something like that, or even for my own personal project, I would have much higher standards of what I was doing. But because this is just me going at it for fun, I don't really put that sort of pressure on myself. As a matter of fact, when I was doing this, I just played some music and I was just having fun, and I was just thinking of all the possibilities. I said, what if I added this here? What if I added this drape here? What if I added this shape here? What if I, and I just kept saying, what if, what if, what if, what if? And I think that's also a really good method for you guys when you're starting to do character design, is just keep asking yourself what if, and get your mind going. I find that a lot of challenges that I have when it comes to character design is I don't ask, or just design in general, is I don't ask myself that question enough. Or a lot of students or beginners, maybe even professionals, don't ask that question enough, because with the question what if, it opens up all the possibilities. And when you're restricting yourself by your preconceived notions and ideas about how a design should look based on what you've learned before or that you've seen before, it starts to destroy that creativity. And I personally don't like pigeonholing myself to that because I've done it for so long. I personally really struggled a lot with not being able to push a character design far enough. And maybe one day I'll show you guys a video of that as well, of some of my old work. But I really had a hard time with getting a design to be something unique and interesting. And the way it was described to me was thinking about like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you put very little peanut butter and very little jelly on that sandwich and it's just dry and it's not very fulfilling, it's not good, it's going to be boring. And so my teacher was like, you need to just put a bunch of peanut butter and a bunch of jelly on it and get it all juicy to the point where it's maybe not slopping down your hand, but to the point where you make it more palatable, make it something good and interesting. And that's something that I had to learn how to do. And now I feel like I'm at a place where I'm just starting to learn how to do that. I wouldn't say that I've mastered it, but if you were to look at my designs from just 2 years ago to now, it's a totally different experience. So the things that I was thinking about that made me think of designs in a new and unique way are some of the same things I'm sharing with you. Think about your story, think about the shapes, think about the culture in the world, and have something interesting to say about it. I highly recommend getting references all the time. You'll never hear me on this channel saying never to use reference or that using reference is stupid. You might hear me say something like you may not need reference all the time, but that's totally different. I use references for every single one of these drawings that you're seeing in this video, and the beauty of that is you get inspired by real life and by art from other people, and you get a little insight into a world that is outside of your own head. And when you combine that with the creativity and the innovation that you have as an individual, your designs are going to be so much stronger that way. And that's when things get really exciting, especially if other people are starting to vibe with it. There's nothing quite like having a design that people don't appreciate just yet and there's something missing, going away for a couple of days and then coming back with a brand new updated version and just seeing people go, wow, that's really cool. And that's happened to me on several occasions. Now I want to talk to you real quick about this design that I'm currently doing, because you guys probably noticed I changed the hat that he's wearing. This is called a Fulani hat. It's a very particular African hat that I just love the shape of, and I adjusted it a little bit. I made it more round at the top because it started to look a little like one of those Chinese hats. I'm not really sure what the exact name of it, but I didn't want him to have a hood or something like that, or just this big beanie covering dreadlocks or something. I wanted to have something that felt more unique and more like the culture that I was trying to base these drawings and these characters off of. One of the other tricks I'm doing is I'm adding a bunch of triangles to his design in the textile that he's wearing. Like I mentioned before, a lot of African designs will have very strong and graphic shapes. So by repeating those triangles, it conveys a part of his character. The triangles often convey danger and activity or action, but it's also a unique aspect of the culture. So I'm able to take both of those things and have two purposes, or a dual purpose with them. And that is a sign of a design that's probably working really well. Oftentimes you'll look at some of your favorite stuff and you'll see things have more than one purpose. I find it really exciting personally when I can find it or create a design that shows the utility of something, like how important something is. It's an object that they own, it's a weapon, it's a tool that they use, it could be a backpack or whatever, but it also does something for the shape design, and it also tells you something about the culture, and it also tells you something about the personality. If you can find a way to merge those things and do it in a clever way and create a character that looks unique and iconic, then that's gonna be a recipe for success every single time. So always get reference, always think about your shape design, always think about the culture and the setting of the world you're creating. Even if you don't know exactly who that character is yet, just draw, just figure out what looks fun and exciting for you, and you'll see what works. Like for this character, for example, I was looking at a woman wearing a burqa, but I was drawing this and I said, yeah, I've never drawn a character like that. I think this could be interesting. I think it kind of fits with the overall vibe, and it's not something that I've seen before. And one thing that you'll notice as I'm sketching through, for some reason I decided to have it with a low cut chest, and later on I actually erased that because I felt like it didn't fit. And so as I'm drawing, sometimes I'll start something and I'll erase it and completely change it because I realize it doesn't work for the story. And so I realize if I'm gonna have this character covering her face, which is usually a sign of either modesty or being conservative, or maybe a religious statement, probably having an open chest like that is not the best idea. So in a second, I'm probably gonna erase that. But things like that are really important. So that's an aspect of story that a lot of people may overlook as they're designing. And obviously anatomy has a role to play in that, and getting the right pose and making sure the body type is accurate and all these different things. But ultimately it's really just about, does this fit with the story? Does this design feel unique? Are the shapes working? Is it fitting for the world you're creating? And can you see this character in real life? Could you see this person walking down the street? And these characters, I didn't really design them with a particular purpose in mind for them. And if anything, I just wanted to see what would happen if I were to have these characters on the street just living their everyday life. Like, could I see a world like that? And I'm not really sure if they're all working just yet. I like a lot of them personally, and I think I probably will use some form of it. But you know, it's all about having fun. When you're sketching these characters, just be loose and have fun. Okay, so now I'm getting rid of the chest piece, and I'm adding a little, or the cut chest piece, and I'm adding a little funky design, distorting the dress a little bit. I felt like it was a little warped on that side. Changing up some of the proportions. And the other thing about this that I thought was a lot of fun was just having characters that felt uniquely different from each other. And that's one thing that I'm really happy with about this page, because I was just doing a lot of random stuff, but if I zoom out and I look at all 5 characters, they all feel like different people. They all feel like they have unique personalities, different backstories, different circumstances that led them up to the point where they are dressing the way that they are. So this guy I'm drawing, he could be some sort of professor or some sort of councilman or something like that. And then maybe the character on the far left, like I said, might have been a prime minister, or the girl in the second to the left, she could be just some teenager or, you know, college student or something like that. So I just make up these stories as I go. I don't have a plan for them right away. Oftentimes that's necessary when you're designing a specific character, like the main character of your story. But like I said, these are just kind of background characters. These are people that I don't know who they are. I don't know what their names are. If you all have suggestions, please let me know. Just make it a cool name, make it an interesting name. I don't want anything with like one syllable, like Bob or something. Like, don't do that to me. I think these characters are probably a little more interesting. And no offense to anyone who's named Bob. I just don't think that name would be particularly fitting for some of these characters. So I'm also trying to find ways to create a unique look for I'm also trying to find ways to create a unique design for some of these in just unique places. So like that chest piece, trying to find a way to make those triangles work and maybe have it suggest a part of his personality. So if he's a little bit more mischievous, then maybe the triangles will work. If he's more stable, I might add more square shapes. And maybe if a character is more friendly, I'll add more round shapes, like the character to the left of him. There's a lot of round shapes in the dress and the burqa and everything like that. And I guess one of my favorite aspects of character design overall is just the fact that you're creating real people. I think that's the thing that attracts me most to it. We live in a world where we are naturally, I think, very social creatures. And at least for me, if this last year has proven anything, it's that I enjoy being around people more often than not. And obviously, you know, I need my space too, but I really like interacting with people. I like understanding about people's cultures and where they come from. And there's so many places in the world that I haven't been to or experienced or even met people from that area. But I find it really fascinating that we can take and learn and grow from these individuals who are different from us. And then we can put some of those influences into our drawings, into our designs, and make it work. Like, there's just something so fascinating about that to me, and I don't want to take that for granted as an artist. I want to be able to use that and use the world as inspiration for my characters, whether they're background characters or not. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support you've given the Joe McFo show already. And if you guys are interested in seeing any of these characters cleaned up and finished, please let me know. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And please hit the notification bell. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.